Recently, your formative task was to write 2 paragraphs which compared different perspectives of war. Now, I've taken an example from Manon in 8A, and I just want to go over some of the things that made her work really, really successful. So you can see at the beginning from the colour coding that she's got our claim, our argument. So this is the most important thing. This is essentially your answer, your idea, which everything else after is trying to prove. So this has to be the most important thing. And she said, Dulce Decorum portrays this critical image of war, conveys the message that it shouldn't be romanticised. And then she justifies that and she explains how. And she says, through the depiction of suffering soldiers. So when we're writing paragraphs, we're essentially making arguments. So the first bit is what the text does, what the poem teaches us, and that's that war should not be romanticised. But we have to justify that. We have to explain how or why that is achieved. So we can do that really easily by just saying through a particular part of the poem, through the depiction of these suffering soldiers. If I quickly go to the second one she's done, she said the opposite. So she said she uses tone, or she could use structural techniques, or for whatever it is, to convey the idea, in charge of the Light Brigade, to convey a more positive message about war. So if I go back up here, zoom in again. Very annoying. So then after that we've got evidence. Now the evidence is quotes, and she cited it with line numbers, and the quotes are there to show our argument is true. 100% it must be true. So we're going to say through the depiction of suffering soldiers. Well, what quotes show that soldiers suffer? Maybe that they're bent double like old beggars under sack, they're knock-kneed, they're coughing like hags, or the man who is drowning, he's guttering, choking, drowning, right, on the gas. So these are really good quotes that show war should not be romanticised, and they're through the depiction of suffering soldiers. We can also have a little look. We've got, for example, what's more, in addition, these different transitional words. When we're introducing our first piece of evidence, we're exemplifying, or extra evidence, we're saying, in addition, here's more evidence. And you'll also notice that they're embedded. So she doesn't just throw a quote in. She doesn't just say, for example, bent double like old beggars. She explains who is bent double, when they're bent double. So the speaker describes the soldiers in the trenches as being bent double like old beggars under sack. Here, a particular soldier is dying from the death of a particular soldier, died from a gas attack, and he comes towards the speaker, guttering, choking, drowning. Right? So we've embedded and we've contextualized. If I just said guttering, choking, drowning, I have no idea what you're talking about. So we have to say, a soldier is guttering, choking, drowning because of this gas attack, and he comes towards the speaker. And then we want to put that line in our words, mix them together, tuck it into bed, as if it's one person speaking. You can see as well, after every quote, she then goes on to analyse the choices within the quote. So she doesn't talk about the choices before. She doesn't say, for example, the speaker uses imagery, right? She says, for example, the speaker describes this is what's happening, embeds the quote, and then after she says, here we've got this simile, or we've got this consonance, or we've got this cacophonic sounds, or asyndeton, whatever we've got. And then that's when she talks about the choices. So here the use of simile compares the soldiers to old beggars, making it nice and clear, which implies that they desperately lack any comfort and emphasises their suffering. Here, the consonance of the harsh K highlights the harsh conditions similar to the harsh sound, and the simile compares them to an old witch, a sick old witch, evoking a sense of horror. And then down here, we've got the use of cacophonic harsh sounds like g, ch, k, and d, underscore the violent death of the man, similar to how the sounds are violent. Moreover, the use of asyndeton takes away the conjunctions in a way which reflects the old man's life is being taken away. From there, we build our smaller choices and talk about the bigger elements. So we've said, as a result of these choices, the living conditions and battlefield setting are portrayed to be extremely difficult, and with a somber and depressing mood being achieved. These things happen more than once. These things exist in the whole poem, and that's why they're bigger than the individual choice. So that's why they come after. The author builds something bigger by using these choices. Another example, she creates a horrified tone towards the war, portraying the war as terrifying and a dangerous place. And then finally, and most importantly, she finishes her paragraph by solidifying her understanding of the message and her interpretation. From this, what is the message she's taken away? And that Owen is able to successfully portray the devastating and hostile realities of war and its impacts on soldiers. Deromanticizes war as a result, conveys the message that it's not noble or glorious, right? She does the same in the second poem. That should be green, but whatever. How do we? No. There we go. So again, we start off. What the poem does creates this more positive image of war, conveying nobility and bravery relate to it and how it's done. We've got the evidence to exemplify the first time, for example, for instance, and then every bit afterwards in addition and to add on. We've got, again, embedded, it's tucked up into our context really nicely. The speaker describes the soldiers riding into war and asks, was there a man dismayed? To which he responds, no, there wasn't, right? So this is an example of hyperphora. The speaker asks and immediately answers his own question, and this is able to emphasize his pride and confidence in the same way he's confident in his answer. As a result of this, the speaker, this is bigger than the choice. The speaker is portrayed as being proud. His tone is confident to their abilities and bravery. In addition, he says they rode into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Obviously uses metaphors and personification, comparing it to a hell or a monster, which continues to convey their bravery despite this, right? What's more, the anaphora repeated into the repetition suggests that they will not give up, as the line similarly does not give up with its phrasing via this repetition. You can see how when we talk about the justification, we're using similar language. So here, does not give up in the same way. The line does not give up via repetition in the same way the men do not give up. In the earlier example, we've got the conjunctions are taken away in the same way the man's life is being taken away. This helps to establish connection. In the last example, she's got the speaker knows, describing the battlefield, how there were cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left, cannon in front of them. And this is simplos, which repeats words at the beginning and end, which emphasises the way they are surrounded in the same way the words surround the phrase. So again, we've helped to establish that connection. We're not just saying speaker uses this and this is what's happening in the poem, because that's not the connection. Those two things are separate. We have to establish the things are connected, because that's analysis. Then we say the battlefield setting is portrayed as a dangerous place, which continues to characterise the men as brave because of this. And the speaker's tone is once again proud of the soldiers. And so subsequently, we're coming to our last bit, the message. Subsequently conveys this more ideal version of war, portrays soldiers as brave and noble. His message is one that conveys the idea that those who do fight are brave, which romanticises war. So that's what we're looking to have done. And once we were able to structure our sort of ideas like this, our arguments like this, we're absolutely solidifying that we are right and we're super smart. So well done, Manon, for that.